Hi everybody, old guy here, and today I have two Rennie Arths. These are continuations of the John Madden series of mysteries, well, really police procedurals. And the first one is called The Blood-Dimmed Tide, and it was published in 2004. Well, actually, this is the second one. The first one was River of Darkness, which I've reviewed here somewhere. And that came out in 1999 and was a decent book, even though it suffered from fortuitous coincidences and cops so dense, I wondered if they were mostly drunk. But it was a good read, primarily because of the time period that it depicted, the period right after World War I, and it introduced Detective John Madden, who had fought in the trenches and was completely shell-shocked, as were most of his colleagues, and also suffering from the fact that they did not know the world had changed on them. It was no longer pip pip cheerio fellow well met out there. Demons had awakened and were stalking the land. So this one is 10 years later, and the demons not only stalk but have increased in number. They're in the process of taking over Germany, which will, of course, inexorably lead to World War II, which was the war that Madden and his fellows tried to prevent. One of those demons is on the loose in the English countryside, and Madden gets involved again, reluctantly. Okay. Don't ask what that was. Because at this point, Madden is no longer a Scotland Yard inspector. He is now a gentleman farmer married to Dr. Helen Blackwell from the first novel. And they have two children and friends and the good life out in the countryside. While out and about one day, Madden stumbles across a search for a missing child and, using his old skills, finds the ravaged body hidden in a riverbank. And then pretty much drops right out of sight. You know, it's kind of a stretch to call this a John Madden mystery, unless you consider his showing up at critical moments as a qualifier. It's more Will Stackpole and John Sinclair and Billy Stiles, John's former workmates and colleagues, who run the whole thing. There's lots of meetings among these three in a cramped superintendent's office where lots of things are discussed and discussed and discussed. Yeah, okay, bullpen sessions can move a story along at the right moment, but these get a bit excessive. And of course, there are fortuitous events that just fall right into the laps at just the right moment and move the story along at the right time without too much effort involved. For instance, about a week after the Madden discovers the girl's body, the body of another young girl who disappeared 2 years prior surfaces on another river. And lo and behold, she has the same wounds. Good timing. Otherwise, the police might think this first murder is a one-off. But it isn't, and queries reveal similar murders all over the place, especially in Germany and Switzerland. Germany and Switzerland. I wonder who could be involved. You actually know about halfway through, but the kicker is trying to find the murderer, who has no known identity or even a description, just a trail of bodies. That's what makes this an interesting story. The manhunt, which ends up right next to Madden's town. So yeah, this is one of those official points where he reappears. Lots of things, though, annoy in this story. Clues so obvious, even the dumbest of investigators falls all over them. A cop so dumb, he still thinks it was just an accident, even when a body was found upstream from where it went in. And the contrived conflict between Helen and Madden about his getting involved. She's worried he'll get hurt. But didn't you know he was a policeman when you married him? I mean, congratulations. You got him to quit the job he loved, but did you think that was the end of it? Hunters gotta hunt. And you know, this is becoming a trope in just about every police or detective story. The girlfriend, wife, whatever, opposed to the policeman's continued employment, wanting him to stay home with her and do what? Knit? It was those hunter skills that attracted you in the first place, so why would you want them abandoned? You know, you'd think in this increasingly insane world that women want their Viking men out there catching bad guys. Now, my wife used to send me out with a thermos, a slap on the butt, and a go get 'em. Is that no longer true? Well, of course it's true. That's the way it is. That's actually the way it really is. This is just the way of creating a conflict that puts more pressure on the investigation. And it is annoying. Stop it. Or get Helen and John divorced so he can resume his heroic ways unimpeded. Well, the second book, well, actually the third John Madden mystery, or police procedural, was published in 2009. And it continues the offhand, episodic, and aloof involvement of the main character, John Madden, in a murder mystery. This one, 10 years after the events in this one. So this one, The Dead of Winter, puts this right in the middle of World War II. Now, I do very much like the fact that Airth is taking Madden through the various 20th century traumas. But again, he's barely in this. It's Angus Sinclair and Billy Stiles' case with the help of a guy named Lofty Cook and a brand new character, Women's Police Constabulary WPC Lily Poole, who's they're all of them throwing in from time to time. More than Madden does, although I gotta say he is more in this book than he was in Blood Dim Tide. And why is he in this? Because the victim, Rosa Lansky, a Polish Jewish refugee, was working on his farm as a land girl. She'd gone off to London to visit her aunt and is murdered mere moments after stepping away from an underground station and into the darkness. London is still in blackout, although the Blitz is fairly well over. Still, you've got those V2s. So what is this? Just an unfortunate encounter with a thief or rapist. It's too bad. Except she was not violated and nothing stolen, and her neck was broken by somebody who knows what he's doing. Or she knows what she's doing. And that person searched her body quite thoroughly until an approaching air warden drove him off. Or her. Don't know at this point. And you know, as the reader, immediately that this is not some random killing, because there is a prologue to this book where a rather clever jewel heist takes place in Paris as the Wehrmacht approaches. And the name Lasky is mentioned. So, not a psychopath or a sexual deviant this time, straight up greed and robbery. The murderer, though, is no ordinary person. Quite the contrary, and Sinclair and his pals are going to have a devil of a time identifying the perp. Except, of course, for the astoundingly fortuitous events and reveals that show up at just the right time to keep the investigation going, including help from Madden, who always has the ability to see things that others don't, fortuitously, at just the right time. Now, most criminals are amateurs, and eventually they F up in such a way that even the dullest of police officers can tie them to the crime. Now, professionals don't leave that kind of evidence, or actually, they don't even care if you know who they are, as long as there's no evidence to convict them, or not enough evidence, or a paid-off juror in the pool somewhere. Whatever it takes. This murderer, though, is of a higher order, almost a ghost. And I suppose the only way to resolve this is to allow a few unbelievably helpful clues to sneak in and fall into Madden's lap, where he can reach a conclusion that would evade most of us because, well, we're pretty much straight thinkers. Madden is more supernatural, which is what I guess you need to catch a ghost. But that means you are going to have several instances of, how'd you come up with that? And then you'll read a bit more and see how he came up with that, and, well, okay. But you know, you're going to have to kind of give Airth the leeway necessary on this one, because this is a difficult one. Like the two previous books, you'll know who the murderer is by at least halfway point when this turns into a manhunt, so to speak, with its own set of Deus Ex coincidences. Now, by this time, even I, the dullest of reviewers, can see Airth's formula, and while I like the characters, especially Lily Poole, who is quite the pistol, I'm not sure I'm going to continue with the series. Professional background and experience makes me roll my eyes from time to time and tolerate a lot in the interest of the amusement. Which, come to think of it, is pretty much life. Right here. See you later.